Welcome to the ninth edition of the Klown podcast. I'm Scott Burks. Hello. Check me on my website, www.theklowntalks.net. Guess what? I have two new posts on there previewing the SEC and the ACC football. So I'm gonna create more. I'm gonna work on the Big Ten preview tomorrow, as well as run out ending it with the Big 12, the Pac-12, and all of college football in terms of predictions of the group of five conferences, as well as my predictions for the college football playoff and who will win it all this year. And I and I think that there's little suspense of who's probably going to be, well, a little suspense of who's probably going to be in the 14 playoff, but I think we all know who's going to win it all, so I ain't going to win. But anyway, so check me out on my website, www.clowntalks.net. Speaking of which, get the merch at cafepress.com. Search the Klown Time Sports. That link and my blog is linked on my YouTube page, but you can get the link to the merch under the description while I upload this to YouTube. Excuse me, I can't not talk today for some reason. Also, please check me out on Facebook, whether you're a smartphone, laptop, desktop, wherever you are, wherever you may be, you'll find me there as well. And last but not least, before I get to my guest, which you all know by now, please consider like, comment, share, and subscribe. We get some more traffic on the YouTube page since the reboot a year and a half ago. I'm pretty excited about it. I want to hit 1,000 by year's end so I can get this baby monetized. I was going to shoot more than that, but just again, I said with small victories, crawl before you walk, and you walk before you run. So there you go. So please continue to like, comment, share, subscribe, and spread the word. I appreciate it. Okay, week 0, lots of HBCU action. So you don't know what this is. This is HBCU Monday, baby. And you know who I always have for HBCU Monday. Y'all know him from the yards. It's HBCU Sports. Refs about all things HBCU Sports. So we're Sleazy Radio every Tuesday night on Facebook Live and YouTube. And you can check out his great work on herosports.com. Refs about all things FCS athletics as it pertains to HBCUs. Y'all know him, the legend, the iconic Dwayne Ash is back at the house. How you doing, man?
Just for clarity, I know the folks at least understand that there are good icons as well as bad icons.
Right. Suspect icons, right, correct.
What I'm not going to do is say which one I am. I'll allow that for the folks at home to make that decision. But I'm doing wonderful, Scott. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. And speaking of which, the people who may decide maybe some swag alums. So just put it out there. Speaking of the swag, we might as well get on to it, man. As I said earlier, week 0, you had some major HBCU football being played this week. We'll get into the second game in a moment, but I want to focus on FAMU and UNC. Now, this took a couple of few noteworthy things about FAMU and UNC. First of all, the most important ones are not the admirable performance that FAMU put on the field, right? When they hung in the first half against Carolina for actually 3 quarters, because at the end of 3 quarters, it was 35-24.
Yeah, they were only down 11 by the end of the third. Yeah,
exactly. So the FAMU played well, despite other stuff. We'll get to the other stuff momentarily before the floodgates opened in the 4th quarter. We're not going to talk about Jeremy Musa's 20 performance, scoring 20 for 38 for 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. And we're not going to talk about the receiver, Xavier Smith, who had 10 catches for 78 yards. We're going to talk about the eligibility issues that FAMU football players faced, which came this close for them canceling the game altogether. And the thing is that it came out today, of course it's on ESPN right now, that, the players are blaming they penned a letter saying that the deficiencies in the athletic department led to ineligibilities. And so one instance, basically Coach Willie Simmons told ESPN in a phone interview earlier today of the athletic department's shortcomings, we're right here, said that he said that the school just has one academic advisor down from 4 in 2018 when the school had 3 advisors and a learning specialist. He also said that the school's compliance officer is also the financial aid officer, who be like pretty much if anyone who does 2 jobs, you usually do more than the other, especially if you lack experience in the other, right? So basically, among the 26 ineligible players, that's right, 26 players, 3 of them were starters. One of whom was Isaiah Land, who's like, the best defender in FCS last season. He's an NFL draft prospect for next season. And last but not least, somebody said that this young man, Land, and another teammate were, quote, misadvised on a course load leading to a 4-game NCAA suspension. And this is just, it was on television, local television, Tallahassee, Florida. It's a hot ass mess, you could well imagine. And these are the issues that some of us see at HBCU, especially smaller ones, right? I remember when I worked at Shaw University, I'll be very quick with this. When I worked at Shaw University in the early 2010s, the school was was undergoing accreditation. And there were a lot of folks there doing 2 jobs, and the workload was so heavy that things start falling through the cracks. I'm not going to call them incompetent, but the fact is that it's one of those things where a lot of HBCUs face, especially the smaller ones, right? Because they don't have the funding. But that's not an excuse. It's just a messed up situation, and which makes it more disappointing that a school as big as FAMU with the resources, financial resources, relative to other FCS schools, especially like smaller ones or D2 schools, they have resources galore compared to them. I'm not saying they have a lot of them per se, but I didn't think they would be. I was shocked to see them in this predicament, and to the point where it's a total embarrassment right now at FAMU, which should be celebrated. Again, for the good game they played against Carolina and that awesome halftime show with both bands combining forces, joining forces at the end was nothing short of awesome. But that's not the biggest story. That should be the big story, but it's around the ineligibility of those young men. So I know you're close to this situation, man. So just take us involved in what's going on there, and what they're doing, and what's being done about it. And just how sad the situation is. We should have been a time where FAMU should have been, the weekend that it had down there should have been so.
Yeah, to your point, when I first started getting the news on Friday, they made it seem as well. The first thing that was reported was that the football players were looking to boycott, and I didn't have much details of why they were looking to boycott, but it was just put out there that that's what they were going to do. And then, of course, the reasoning started to come out. Oh, okay, so it's a compliance issue, and that players were going to be suspended. All right, who's going to be suspended? Oh, wow, how many guys are going to be suspended? Oh, wow, Isaiah Land is attached to this? Oh, wow. And they play on Saturday? And we're just finding out about this on Friday afternoon? This is insane. So there was a whole ball of confusion, and everyone's attempting to figure out exactly what was going to happen on Saturday, whether or not they're going to play or nay. There were literal reports on Twitter of various accounts following the team from the airport in Charlotte on their way up to Chapel Hill, just making sure that they were going, interviewing Coach Willie Simmons before he left Tallahassee to make sure that the game was still going to be played, and what was going to actually happen to the guys that were suspended. Now, the thing that when it came up, it was the impression that since it was a compliance issue, that these guys weren't making grades. No, that's not the issue, as you said, as you pointed out with the letter. Yeah. When you read it, it says that there's a lot of mismanagement going on in terms of the direction in which the classes and the advisement of these student athletes, underrepresentation, being misled in terms of the amount of tickets that the student athletes are supposed to get, in terms of the support that they need to be. Well, the allotment is 4 tickets per player. And of course, when your family knows, because this is the NCAA rule, that each player get 4 tickets. Those 4 family members are under the impression they're going to get tickets. Then you're told at the last minute, no, you'll only get 2. And those last 2 members had to scramble and get tickets according to the letter, which of course is most definitely unfair to the student athlete, the family members of the student athletes that have to go through that, coming from wherever they're coming from, to try to fly in to either the Raleigh-Durham area or the Charlotte to make their way up to watch the game. Most definitely a headache. And then they also talked about the nutrition issues that they were dealing with as well within the letter. Just a litany of things that just seem to be tragic within this program. Now, this is the same program under this current president, President Robinson, who is the president of Florida A&M, that is looking for their 4th athletics director under his under his leadership. And I think he's only been there since 2018, 2019.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, I take that back. He goes back further than that. He goes back further than that.
But still,
and I know
4,
FAMU people are correcting me right now, but I know he goes back further than that. But I think this is going to be, whoever the new hire is going to be the 4th athletics director under his tenure, which does not look good at all.
No, terrible.
Yeah. And so you get to a point where you have only one person that's over compliance, and like you said before, that person is someone who doesn't have compliance background, have financial aid background, and they're doing this as an interim situation. So like you said, the dedication is not there. The knowledge is probably not there.
Probably it.
This is how all of this happens. But again, like you said, to your point, this isn't something that you would necessarily see at an institution at the likes of Florida A&M. And I'm not blaming the athletics department on this. Not at all. I'm going to go straight to the head with this, with the president. You need to go ahead and talk to Robinson on that. Yeah. This is something that shouldn't have been an issue from the get-go. Whenever they lost those 4 people who were in the compliance office originally. And there are some that are telling me that those people left when the former AD Gaucher left. So once they left, and you're just coming off of sanctions in terms of APR, you know what you need to get on? Making sure that your compliance is as tight as possible.
Right.
Just doing that. And then number 2, not putting your student athletes out there to dry and then coming up with this letter afterwards saying that you're supporting them. How, Sway? How?
Exactly.
Everyone's going around, oh my God, these dudes, they're not passing classes. They're not clearing compliance. What's going on here? When that's not the issue.
Right.
Now they're out here looking dumb. Literally. And that's not the case. And I feel bad for them. I really do. So, and they also want, of course, want representation as it pertains to who the next hire of the athletics department is going to be. And potentially rightfully so, because of the way that they're going through athletics directors down there in Tallahassee.
Right.
So I just hope that this entire thing gets situated quickly. But you're saying that it's a 4-game suspension for Land, which means if that's the case, he won't be in Orlando this week.
That's right. Against, guess who?
Jackson State. And this was a game that most definitely has been built up ever since last year's game ended. Oh my God, 7-6. And then the winner of this game would go on to win the conference championship, and the second place and the loser ended up going to the playoffs. Oh man, we got to see part 2 of this.
Yeah.
And Jackson State has most definitely gotten better in terms of the talent level that not only that they had already on the team, that's a year better. They made additions, and then they made additions to their coaching staff too. And the same could be said about Florida A&M. And then with the play of Musa last week and the way that team looked without those 26 players, this is supposed to be a big game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to your point, part 2. Again, to your point, brother, the winner of that game last year not only won the division, but won the conference. The loser of that game went to the playoffs. Yeah. That's how good those teams were.
Yeah.
Last year.
And there was that same anticipation again this year.
Yes.
That whoever won in Orlando was going to win the conference. It was going to be in Atlanta.
Correct. Yeah.
Correct. And now here we are again. But I know if FAMU wins this game, they're going to crow about this.
Oh, yes.
Because they did
we won half a squad, right?
Yes, right?
Yeah.
And if they don't, it's going to be, oh, my God, it happened to us again, where a situation outside of our hands hindered us on the field. So, oh, man, I just wanted to see Florida A&M in a full clip on Saturday when they face Jackson State, so there would be no excuses.
Yeah. And it's turned into a good rivalry in very short period of time, because they're the best. Their conference's two best teams.
Yeah.
So for the notice, and it's not even close.
Not even close.
It's not even close. It's Jackson State and FAMU and everybody else. Go ahead.
Well, you know what? Because people in Baton Rouge are saying, "What about us?" Sure. People in Grambling are saying, "What about us?" So we'll have to see how the rest of the season plays out, or actually how the season even starts, because we haven't even really gotten there yet. Right. But let's see how the things play out. But right now, the discussion is them most definitely within the Eastern Division.
Yeah.
And Alabama State made a good play against Howard on Saturday, but I don't know if they're necessarily good enough to necessarily compete against the other two teams in that division. But any given Saturday, right?
Right. So before we get to that game with Howard, Alabama State had with Howard, I'm gonna focus on a couple more things. I want to end this segment of FAMU on the positive, because again, it's a damn shame that the eligibility issues happen.
Yeah.
Because even in losing to Carolina, a team that's seen as a dark horse in the ACC, I thought they performed. I thought the Rattlers performed average. Like, again, Jeremy Sousa throwing for almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. That wide receiver I mentioned, Xavier Smith. 10 receptions, 78 yards. The fact that FAMU was in the game at the end of the third quarter with half the squad at Carolina. Again, the score was 35-24. They were in it.
Scott, one of the biggest complaints that came from a lot of people who watched that game was that FAMU didn't have any pass rush. You know why they didn't have their pass rush? Because their best pass rusher was at the crib.
Thank you. Exactly.
How much of a difference would that have made?
Go off. Right.
Yeah.
Allow Drake May to go off. But yeah, to your point, I agree. That hamstrung. But I mean, not to say that FAMU would have upset Carolina in a huge way, but I'm just saying, for them to be in the game for 3 quarters before, I think they just ran out of gas in the fourth quarter.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
You have half a squad. They most definitely are deeper. And based upon the letter that they just sent out, they're better conditioned too. Now, that's one of the issues that I most definitely have heard from HBCU student athletes in the past, is that these sports, in all sports, they're better conditioned, they're better nourished. And a lot of times it's just a situation where in most games they just get outgassed, and they get, it's just the numbers game just doesn't fall in their favor. And now you're dealing with a situation where you're, like I said before, you're already talking about, your nutrition program during the summer not being the best. And now you're down 26 players. Yeah, giving up 21 unanswered could have been 28 unanswered. Right. With that touchdown that was rescinded at the end of the game. That was just a situation of them just running out of gas at the end of the game. And then they did. God, I would love to know what Coach Simmons's assessment of the game was. Unfortunately, I haven't heard it yet. Right. But yeah, I want to hear what he thought about their play in the first 3 quarters, opposed to that fourth quarter, and all of that. But that's just a situation where, from a dummy's perspective, that's the way it looks.
Well, I would think that Coach Simmons's assessment would be of a glass half full thing, because again, they were down 26 players.
Yeah.
Right. You're on the road at Carolina, a dark horse in the ACC. all that time on the field. And the fact that you did not fold at the beginning, the fact that your quarterback played well, the fact that your wide receiver played very well,
Yeah.
the fact that your team performed very well, despite the fact they had zero pass rush because their best defender was one of the ones who was ineligible. It was one of the 3 or 4 starters who were ruled ineligible out of 26. So I would think that Simmons, I mean, not to say that there's any like a consolation trophy or anything like that, losing, but the fact is he had to be pleased, at least with the effort of his young men.
Yeah.
Despite all that adversity that happened off the field that they could not control. Off the field. I thought it was pretty dope performance on FAMU's part. And, let's just hope that the situation gets sorted out. It's an embarrassment. I'll be real about it. It's an embarrassment to FAMU, a great school, an otherwise great school. I had plenty of relatives on my mother's side of the family who went there. This is my mother's was born. She grew up in Brooklyn, New York. But that's where my mother's family's from. That's, my great grandmother, God rest her soul, half Seminole, half Black. She's from there. That's her home. That's my mother's roots. A lot of FAMU alums, a bunch of my uncle, I call them uncles and aunts, but they're really my mother's first cousins because she's the only child. But at least on that side. But a lot of cousins, second, third cousins went to FAMU. There's a huge legacy. Rattling legacy on my mother's side of the family. It's just disappointing for me to even know about that. And I'm sad and disappointed. I said disappointed 1,000 times, but I said some more when I think about it. But I'll close. Go ahead.
I'll say this real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
And I also said this about the Grambling boycott in 2013. Thank God it happened to Grambling. And the reason why I say that is, this has been an issue that's been going on at HBCU athletics for a very long time. And it's been ignored for a very long time. I called Deion Sanders E.F. Hutton.
Right.
Because when he talks, everyone seems to listen. And a lot of the things that he's saying have been things that other HBCU coaches have said in the past.
Right.
But unfortunately, they weren't listened to. Now they're starting to listen now. And now with all of the attention that the SWAC is getting, along with the fact that Florida A&M is Florida A&M, and the fact that they were playing in ACC school, perfect storm.
On national television, on ACC network, rather.
Yeah, on ACC network. Now, all eyes on me, said Tupac, right?
Right.
Matter of fact, like you said, the letter is now on ESPN.com right now. Had this been another school, I'm not going to name them. I'm going to let you guys pontificate by yourselves what institutions those could be in terms of being Division I. Had it been them, and they had been playing a smaller school, I'm wondering how much attention this situation would have gotten. I'm not going to say it would get none, but I'm asking, would it have gotten as much attention as it currently has got, had it been one of those other institutions?
Right.
So I want them to get better, most definitely. I don't want people to think that because of me saying thank God it happened to FAMU, that I'm hating on FAMU. No. I'm thankful that it happened to them so that people can see that, it's kind of like the Howard housing situation from last year.
Yes, I remember. Yes, good point.
Housing issues have been an HBCU issue in recent years too. A combination of the neighborhoods that they're in and the rapid growth that they're dealing with the inability to house them, because most of these are state schools. Most of them are state schools, and they're not getting the money from the states that they're supposed to. But that's another conversation for another time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If it doesn't happen to a program that is in the limelight and they can be seen, it will get ignored. Hopefully, issues like this within HBCU athletic departments, in terms of them being understaffed and not getting the funding, especially from state institutions, where they should be getting more money from the state and they don't. Hopefully it gets handled soon enough.
Well said. Well said. One last thing on the FAMU segment, I mentioned it earlier. I'm gonna get your thoughts as a fellow HBCU alum. when FAMU, the Marching 100,
Mm-hmm.
had his halftime performance with Carolina's marching band, the Marching Tar Heels, as they're called. First of all, before I get to where we get to, notice that the stadium was damn near packed during halftime.
Of course. Of course.
And that was pretty dope. That goes to show that the Tar Heel faithful understood not only what the 100 is all about, March 100, but HBCU culture, football culture is that you stay for the halftime show. It's very important, the halftime show.
I'll say this, Scott, two things.
Mm-hmm.
One, UNC made sure to let people know about the Marching 100.
Yes.
Months before the game started.
Right.
They've been pumping this game for the longest. There was even a commemorative shirt for the game yesterday or Saturday. But, with all of the preparation leading up to this, you got to also remember, this is D Nash about to make it about himself right here. They played A&T, I think it was 2015, 2016. They did the exact same thing. They came out, they were well aware of the blue and gold marching machine. They most definitely stayed during halftime to watch the performance, standing ovation afterwards as well. And they also did a combined performance with the two bands too. So this is something that institution that most definitely is familiar with, but they've also done a wonderful job of making them aware of how talented these bands are.
And I was going to ask you about that, the combined performance at the end of the set. Some people are just mad for nothing, for no reason.
They felt the exact same way when A&T did it too. Oh my God, y'all selling out. Y'all about to become.
That's just. I mean, why are we like that? Why are we like that? I mean, it's like this is get off my lawn mentality amongst us that wants things to be a certain way. They said that the kids at Carolina, they had to dumb down the performance for the Carolina kids. I'm like, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah. That was a bunch of things that were said.
Yeah.
It was critical of A&T's set list. Oh, you're not playing the black set list. Oh my God, you're watering down your performance. Okay, you hate me because you ain't me. It's fine. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's okay, boo-boo. You'll be fine. You'll be all right.
But I mean,
God,
the thing
ain't
is,
that bad? Serious, man.
Why are people miserable for no reason? I understand tradition. I get I'm a member of our file. Like at some PWIs, you have some HBC, you have some Divine Nine organizations teaching some of the white fraternity sororities how to step. I've seen it. I kind of get it, I guess, about not having them, I should say, our cousins. I call our white brothers and sisters our cousins. Our cousins are misappropriate. Yet another thing of our stepping, I kind of get that. But stop it. Just stop it. Just take it for what it was. It was an act of unity, in my opinion.
Yeah.
An act of unity. And it was a damn good set. The people were missing that. There was a damn good set. The fact that they were like him and Carolina, like FAMU and Carolina marching band members, they were like doing the dances, doing all that and grooving, had the whole place. You heard the crowd, the whole crowd was hollering.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. Just give it its props. Just accept what it is. It was a great gesture.
Yeah.
Hell, Carolina was the one who also hyped it up. So props to, I hate to say this, but props to the Tar Heels, right? And something, right? NC State alum. So, but the thing is people just need to stop being so fucking angry. Stop it. Give it the times. Just stop it. Stop it. That's all I gotta say. Just stop. Stop it. Anyway. All right, man. Before we get to Alabama State and Howard, I just want to give you a quick shout out from our sponsors, betus.com right quick. Listen up, sports bettors, your favorite sportsbook, betus.com. is back for our 20th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, UFC, and MLB. If you're looking for live in-game betting, incredible odds with daily odds boosters, props, and parlays, we got it. So how about fast payouts and exceptional one-on-one customer service, D? We got that too. So log into betus.com or call 1-800-792-3887. That's 1-800-79-BET-US. Also use the promo code TKT for the Klown time to get you the bigger discount. So betus.com where the game begins. So let's just get to Alabama State. Howard, right quick. That was a cricket MEAC SWAC challenge. We all know the final score of that. We'll get to it right quick. It was 23-13. Yeah. It was. If for those of you who love offense, this wasn't the game for you. But at least the SWAC beat the MEAC at something, right? At least you had to give them something, right?
You said it, not me.
It's facts.
You said that.
It's facts. Not me. It's facts. It's just facts. They beat us in something. That has to count for a little bit. One out of how many chances? Counts for something. Mind you, it's not the Celebration Bowl and other stuff, but we had to get the specs up. But anyway, give me your thoughts on the performance on Alabama State squaring over Howard and the prospects. We already talked about the prospects that they're coming to this year already in the respective SWAC and MEAC media days. But give me your assessment of the two teams following like that game Saturday night.
Well, the biggest thing was that the fact that they had to play through 8 weather delays.
That's right.
And the game went on to about I fell asleep at around 1:00 watching it.
Right.
1:00 in the morning watching that game or watching the weather delay, trying to figure out exactly what was going to happen if they were going to end it. Because at this point in time, when they stopped it the last time, Howard had the ball and they were driving. And I think it was like under about 2.5 minutes to go. Mm-hmm. And of course, anything can happen with a touchdown and a onside kick. So that's why they wanted to continue to. That's why I'm guessing Howard wanted to continue to play the game because they thought that through. But also, the rain today was just way too long and they just couldn't get it in. But the play of Howard's offense was not what I expected. Quentin Williams seemed to be very confused by what was going on. It seemed like Alabama State's defense played a lot better than what I anticipated. Shame on me. 2, D. Davis, the quarterback for Alabama State, the transfer from Auburn, had a good performance. Not necessarily a great performance, but he had a good performance. One of the issues, though, with Howard's defense, that played well in spots.
Right.
But the times in which they didn't play well is which would led to Alabama State scoring points. Now, they gave up 5 plays of 20-plus yards, one of which was for 61 yards, which would eventually lead up to a 21-yard touchdown run. So, when you have these lapses of judgment and you have these plays where wide receivers are wide open, and 2 of those, one was the 61-yard pass play, and the other one was like a touchdown pass. Wide receivers wide open. I truly believe that those plays alone, and I hate being one of those guys and be like, this is the reason why they lost. Well, it was just one play. I know it's a gathering of plays. And yes, I am counting in Quentin Williams' play not being up to par and the lapse of judgment by the secondary. But both teams had significant pass rush. Special teams played, Howard had a block punt. But again, they couldn't capitalize on that because of the play of the offense. And then, unfortunately, they did have a touchdown call back, where they ended up. I think they only scored a field goal on at the end of that drive too. So, yeah, it's just just things that they need to clean up. And unfortunately for Howard, they have their rival Hampton in Hampton as a season opener for the Pirates down there. So,
Mm.
they got a lot of things that they need to clean up
Battle
on
of
their way to
HU.
to play Hampton,
Yeah.
while Alabama State plays against Lane College, I think it is.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not necessarily throwing away the baby with the bathwater as it pertains to Howard as of right now.
Right.
Because again, it's race to 5. Anything can happen. I'm not necessarily fully positive of what Howard can do just yet, but I do like that running game that they have. And I think that's going to be something that's going to be different, is to watch Howard's run game with that 3-headed monster they have with Ian Wheeler, Eaton James, Edgerrin James' son.
Yeah.
And I forget the third gentleman. Actually, they ran more than 3 guys. I think they ran like 6 or 7 guys back there, but they're known most definitely for those 3 guys. And I think they ran for a combined 135 that game. So that I know that's going to be an aspect of their offense that they're going to continue to push, where they do a running back by committee. But if Williams can get his head together and play a lot better than play the way that I anticipate him playing, especially a guy that's in year 2.5 of this offense.
Mm-hmm.
I would expect him to be more comfortable. Hopefully he can do so soon. Well, hopefully he can do so before conference play.
Right.
They would like to have wins under their belt before they get to conference play, but they have Hampton next, then Central Florida, then Yale, then Harvard before they get on to homecoming and then conference play. So yeah, hopefully they can get it right during that stretch of tough games that they have coming up.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there. All right, brother. I'm gonna close the show out on this, if I may.
Okay.
It's a little thing I've been thinking. Well, it's not a little thing at all. Speaking of the weekend, that's something I've thought about as a father to a little black child, and it's one thing. Is a big reason why people like you, me, and many other fans, alums, and supporters out there love our HBCUs. It's because of things that likelihood of things that took place in Provo, Utah over the weekend. And that involved Brigham Young University's volleyball squad hosting the Duke's women's volleyball squad. In case you hadn't heard, anybody out there hadn't heard, during the match, there was a fan, BYU fan, who heckled, well, that's being kind, hurled racist remarks at the lone black starter on the Duke squad named Rachel Richardson, who's a sophomore from Munich, what it was, at Elliott City, Maryland. To the point where, she was heckled every time she went to serve. And also, it got to the point where the same fan made threats telling her to watch her back after the game, to the point that they put, the officials there assigned a policeman to sit on the Duke's bench, which tells you one or two things. Number one, the fact that the game continued, that they allowed this to keep going without stopping the match, out of Hill's problem. And the fact of the matter is that not only did BYU, I know BYU apologized, I think last night or just earlier today, during the volleyball, like they said, 3-game stretch of volleyball midday tournament. He came out to apologize and admonish the fans in attendance about the treatment of the young lady at hand. But the fact that that no one thought, either BYU's coach, the officials, or even Duke's own head coach, did not cross any of their minds to stop the damn match until that racist fucktard was removed. No one thought about that. And to the point where essentially people on BYU as far as blaming them, but everyone's the, like I mentioned, at least BYU, at least the president, I mean, not the president, the athletics director at BYU apologized after meeting with the young lady and her family after the game. It should, even though it shouldn't take place after the game, should have happened then. But at least he made that move. The fact that Duke's own coach did not stop the match disappointed me. Let me tell you what, like, for those of you who are complaining, well, that never happened before, it did. And Dwayne, you know this. You should know about this being from Washington, D.C. area. Let's take it back to the mid-1980s, Big East basketball, with a coach by the name of John Thompson, coach of the great Georgetown Warriors, right, during the Patrick Ewing era. Now, I forgot where they played. They played on the road. I want to say at Providence. And for those Providence fans, if I'm wrong, please forgive me in advance. But it was a road game. And there was some heckling that took place that was racially charged, right? It's to a point where John Thompson just went and said and looked at the officials and said, look, until those group of people, those group of fans, it wasn't the opposite of fans, it was a group of fans posting signs, racially charged signs, unless they get removed, we ain't out of here. I mean, we ain't playing, we out of here. And you know what John Thompson did? He took his team off the damn court. I'm sure you remember this.
Sure do.
And I don't know how they found him. I don't know how long it took, because it's over 30 years ago. We were kids. We were like 12, 13 years old. But the point is that, well, in my case, I was like probably 12. But the point is that those fans were removed, if memory serves correct. Georgetown's players, like John Thompson, brought his players back out on the court. So it's been done before. And that's why I think the Duke coach missed the mark on that. So that's why we mention these things. And this is not in the diamond of PWI. I have an undergraduate degree from North Carolina State. I love my school. We can't win anything, but I love my school nonetheless, right? And sure, most of the fans at BYU were not participating in the chant, but the fact that no one thought to even tell them to shut the fuck up tells you something, because it's always silence. Dr. King said himself, it's always a silence. That's the indicator of the atmosphere. It's always a silence. And, it's that, and one more thing, man, what would make, and apparently this fan was a grown-ass man sitting in the student section.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, the fact that you have a grown man, an adult, like an older person sitting in the student section, that's troublesome in and of itself. But what would cause someone, how sad do you have to be as a grown-ass man to racially abuse a young college student, a young 19-year-old girl? What the hell is wrong with him? And that's why it angers me, because no one around him, not the coaches, not either the coaches or the officials, thought enough to tell that dude to shut the fuck up or else, and pause the game until he was out of it. Sure, he was banned. I get it, he was banned from sports, like subsequently at least throughout the year, if not ever. I think he's banned for a long time, past the season. But still, he was still allowed to make the young lady unsafe, and she struggled. That should not happen. That's just a man abusing a young girl like that. Not even a racial thing. A grown man abusing a young college. That's unacceptable. I'm sorry to sound real pissed off and you hear all sorts of obscenities, but I don't like it. I don't like that the young lady was failed like that. We're both dads. We both have kids. We don't want our sons to be abused like that.
No.
I have a 12-year-old son. I know your son is in the military, but
Yeah, that man was a grown man, and I still don't want nobody to say nothing about something like that.
Thank you. Especially not a damn 30-something-year-old man abusing a young adult. Why? So that's why I love my HBCUs, man, because those are environments. Now, say what you want to about the challenges that we face. We already detailed some of them on this show tonight. the fact that, the lack of funding or whatever. Thankfully, a lot of our loans been given back to these schools. But I really appreciate the environment these HBCUs provide, these young people out here, the fact that, these young Black and brown kids, and some white kids too, go there for the education, get the nurture that they need.
Mm-hmm.
That you can't get that anywhere else. I'm sorry. And I know that BYU sports programs have a lot of Black kids, but outside of that, their student population is minuscule at best.
At best.
So again, that's why you got guys like us telling the stories of HBCUs in their sports. And many others out there, we know who they are. Some of y'all know who they are as well. And I give props to HBCU Game Day, and there are many, many others. They know who they are. So I thank them. I thank God for them. And people like, other BYUs out there, if you will, fans out there, other schools, no matter what color you are, y'all gotta do better. Just gotta do better. Just gotta do better.
I'll say this, Scott, real quick. It's not to say that this wouldn't happen in the HBCU.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Or
Thank
that
you.
it
I agree.
Or that this wouldn't have been stopped at another PWI.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this. The coaches at an HBCU or a Black coach would have been a whole lot more sensitive to that situation for that young lady being heckled like that.
Yeah.
And then most definitely, like you said, to your point of Coach Thompson, because of course, Coach Thompson is Black.
Mm-hmm.
A person of color would have most definitely made that situation so that this game does not continue until that person gets out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes back to the whole narrative that you've been most definitely hearing for the past few years, that no one cares about Black women.
Yeah.
This is just another evident situation of this. Again, I'm not saying that this wouldn't happen to a white woman, but what we already know, because of this situation going down, that it's most definitely happened to a Black woman, and that game continued.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have. I don't want your apology. I want you to get that dude out of here.
Right.
And if it got to a point where they needed security on the bench, it should have been a situation where that dude was ejected.
Right.
How hard is that? They throw you out of NBA games.
Right.
If you talk enough. They throw you out of NFL games if you talk enough.
Mm-hmm. But
a college volleyball game, that dude was allowed to stay?
Yeah.
Nah, man.
No. Hell
no.
Anyway, sorry for the bad note, but I had to get that off my chest, and because that's what I want to say why we love HBCUs. And again, to your point, not to say that wouldn't happen at HBCU as well, but still the whole point of a young lady being abused, racially abused like that shit would have been shut down a long time.
Long time ago.
Man. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys tuning into the
no
podcast.
doubt. And real quick,
yes,
shout out to Florida Memorial getting their big win of the season over Edward Waters last week. So okay. I got to shout out the other HBCU that played that we didn't talk about.
Right.
But I got to shout, and their close game 35-34. So yeah, shout out to Florida, the Lions of Florida Memorial there, that big classic that they had last week.
Nice. Well, one more thing about sports sponsors, like BetUS.com, in case you missed it earlier. Sports Bears, your favorite sports book. BetUS is back for our 20th year of NFL action. Live in-game betting, incredible odds with daily odds, boosters, props, and parlays, fast payouts, exceptional one-on-one customer service. We got it all. Log in to betus.com. Call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BET-US. Use the Klown Times promo code TKT. So betus.com where the game begins. Thank you again for tuning this podcast. You'll be seeing a lot of me this week with college football previews. And we'll be back next Monday, HBCU Monday, going over a slate of great HBCU matchups. We all know what one of them is going to be. So we talked about it earlier, the podcast. So we're going to get some analysis this coming Monday. So
oh, yeah, I'll be fresh back from Miami when we talk on Monday.
There you go. So please check us out. Oh, yeah, one more thing. check out this brother's great work. I know I hyped him up earlier. I know I've been this hype man lately, but go to HBCU.com. There you are, HBCU.com. You see it on the backdrop there. That's all things HBCU sports. Season ready every Tuesday now on Facebook Live, YouTube. And last but not least, herosports.com. That's for all things FCS athletics that's pertaining to HBCU sports. Those links, as always, on every HBCU Monday will be in the description once I get this uploaded to YouTube. Thank y'all again. Please continue to like, comment, and share. Until next time, maybe we'll be this week or whatever. Take care. Peace out.